Welcome back to the Rock and Roll channel. Got my friend and college football expert, recruiting expert, coaching carousel expert, and I'm not saying this just to put you over in the wrestling world, as they say that, but he keeps it real and he keeps it 100 every time, and that's why I enjoy talking to him each and every time I get the chance to. So, Brian Smith from Locked On Seminoles, thank you for coming on, especially on short notice today, man. In this world of college football, man, I really appreciate it. We had a great chat off air. Almost forgot to hit the go live button, but figured we'd come in because last couple episodes we just kind of talked about the craziness of the coaching carousel. Haven't really previewed matchups. So I asked him to come on and we'll talk the FSU Clemson matchup because, regardless of where both teams stand, it's still one of those calendar games, one of those helmet games, as Brian likes to use that term, for both teams. So it's one game I always have circled on my calendar no matter what. And in the past it always had huge recruiting implications, this game. Who knows this year? But Brian, thank you for coming back on. We haven't spoke since the Wake game. I think we were both a little shocked not that we won, but in the fashion we won. What was your take on the Wake game? How this week has gone so far? Obviously, it's only Tuesday, and Clemson up ahead.
I would think with the Wake game that it's the first time you can say they were dialed in defensively to just do their jobs. Offensively, I don't know if it was quite as clear because Wake's defense is a little better than people give them credit for, but Florida State had a bunch of tackles for loss they allowed. They were determined to run the ball, which is fine, but at the same time, you can't be in that boat over and over again. And I'm hopeful that Clemson doesn't eat them up at the line. They've been inconsistent with run defense. I mean, matter of fact, I got a few stats that I've got pulled up, but like their situation with the whole getting after the quarterback and being a good run defense, it's been a little inconsistent. Like this game against Duke, they won, but they were just shredded in their secondary. They gave up 78 yards, but the week before against SMU, who doesn't have a good run game, they gave up 139. I think Florida State could run the ball against them if they're focused. So I'll be curious about that because they didn't run the ball at the level I thought they should with consistency against Wake. But again, the defense was so dialed in and so consistent. They made clutch plays, more mentally focused on just do my job. So that was very surprising. Like even Edwin Joseph, who we've talked about extensively, obviously had some recent problems. He played pretty well. I think that Earl Little and all those guys that were making plays in the secondary, the deep secondary, they're on the right page. Maybe that'll continue against Clemson. I wouldn't bet on it. Nothing at this point. I will, good, bad, or indifferent, will I predict with Florida State. But right now, I think there's a good chance they can win because their defense is better than Clemson's. Clemson just gave up 46 points. They're not good. So we'll see, but it's a lot better than losing. I can assure you that.
Oh, absolutely. Because we watched earlier in the game, we had trouble handling just a read option play. They buckled down and did well. You do that against Clemson. I understand they don't have the backs they've had over the recent years. That could be a quick 7-0 in Death Valley, and that place gets loud. I expect it to be loud. I expect it to be hostile at night there. We haven't played there at night since 13. So, yeah.
I don't know what to expect out of that crowd.
They're loyal. They are a loyal fan base. Upset
Florida
or not.
State and Clemson fan bases are very similar in that regard.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm guessing they'll come out because it's Clemson and because it's the Florida State game. But if they're down 14-0 with 2 minutes into the second quarter, there'll be boos.
Well, you know what? That leads me to my next thing is if they did that, that shows that I don't want to say done with, but they're fed up with Dabo Sweeney. Because Clemson's fan base that stays till the bitter end. That'll be a statement. And that's what happened with Brian Kelly. That was one of the big things at the end of his time at LSU was how Texas A&M took over Death Valley and the crowd just flocked out in the third quarter. So that's my take also is, man, both coaches are in flux there. I don't think Dabo's in the hot seat like Mike is per se because of what he's done there. what's your take on Dabo's situation there? He's been vocal, and I mean, he's always been an outspoken, emotional guy, but he's shown how fed up he is. I guess he doesn't feel like they're grateful to him for what he's done there in some ways. Maybe it's coaching egos that we've talked about. How coaches are the most stubborn, can be the most egotistical people ever, and it's not what I. Coaches are very good at switching the "what have you done for me now" versus the past, and vice versa. What's your take on Dabo's situation there?
I think you kind of nailed it there. People only look forward. Here's an example of what I mean when I'm talking about fans. A few years ago, when Jordan Travis got hurt, it was unfortunate, but his career was over at Florida State. And I said to myself, I'm going to do some kind of tribute podcast about Jordan after the season, which I did. From that month or whatever, at a terms of full podcasts on Locked On Seminoles, it was my lowest rated show. It's just true. Fans look forward. They do not look back. Coaches may not like that. Players may not like that, but that's every fan base.
Mm-hmm.
Clemson's the same way. So if Dabo's saying, look at what I did, 5, 6, 7, they don't care.
No.
This is a society that is, what are you doing this week? And what is our long-term future with recruiting? Go look at any of the podcasts on the Locked On Podcast Network. I don't care which team it is. Go Blackerby's, he's got the best show probably for college. Locked On Auburn. There's a lot of talk about the coaching stuff. But if there's anything about a specific candidate for what's the future, that's going to do his best. With me, when I do something about Norvell being fired, he does the best. People care about what's next, not what's behind. So Dabo is just not reality with how fans work. I'm not saying that's his fault per se, but I'm telling you that's just the way this works. So
yeah,
he's just going to be mad because Dabo does not change. So and eventually that'll be his undoing.
And the thing with us is, and I hate saying this, but our fans for the last while can relate to our failures. We're I don't want to say used to it, but it's not something that we haven't seen before. A lot of their young fans at Clemson cannot relate to the home struggles, losing to Duke, being a bottom feeder in the ACC. They just can't. A lot of them came in, and it was the Trevor Lawrence, Trevor Etienne days, Trevor, all those studs, and they've just seen success there. The Deshaun Watson days threw on. You're looking the last 10, 11 years, they have always been almost, even last year, which we thought was a down year for them, still won the ACC, still went to the playoffs. This is almost foreign territory for a lot of their fans. I think that's why Norvell in that situation is getting a little more grace.
It'll be interesting because if they beat Florida State, there's still a really good chance they don't go to the playoff. They got 5 losses, and they got a road game at Louisville and a road game at South Carolina. I mean, that's rough. They got Furman in between those 2 games I just mentioned. But I right now, if I had to pick, I'd pick Florida State to beat them because Florida State's got the better defense. It's really not very close, which is shocking because they have, at minimum, 3 NFL players in their front 7.
I mean, all offseason I said, how are we going to block the Peter Woods guy?
Peter Woods, TJ Parker, Sammy Brown. Those 3 guys can play for anybody.
Yeah.
Absolutely play for anybody.
That's the thing is that's where I'm curious. I still don't know if our defense matches up because I still wonder about our offensive line a little bit. And their defense can, if they want to, and the D-line wreck shop. Yeah, our offense is so inconsistent. And Tommy like this makes me think that if Tommy was playing at 80%, 85%, I'd feel better there. Tommy was very ineffective running the other night against Wake Forest. I understand you didn't need him to do it as much.
Right.
But that type of Tommy's running ability against Clemson poses problems for us. And Gus's play calling.
Well, 2 points on that. Yeah, you're one just 100% correct because when Tommy's not a viable running option, meaning we're calling plays for him to run buck sweep, counter, quarterback lead, just flat out as a running back, it hinders your offense. Secondarily, and this is, I'm a little more heightened to this. I'll tell the story secondarily, but he's not healthy is obvious, but I wonder if it's even worse than we know. And the reason I say that is Tom, I know him personally. Like he is a guy that is super competitive. Mm-hmm. He does not take no very well, but he's not running. He knows that he's not healthy.
Yeah.
I've never seen Tommy not over the top confident. And to that point, I won't name the school, but I was told by somebody that covers a different team. It's not anybody that Florida State plays or anything. There's another prominent quarterback in college football right now who is flat out injured enough to probably not play if they, but he's good enough to play. It's not even on the injury report at this other school. Teams don't put out injury reports on their quarterback unless they're not playing.
Correct. That's the thing also is I don't go by the Tommy and the probable list because Mike, we know how Mike has always been with injuries.
Terrible. He lies every week.
Terrible. He lies. I hate to use, he does. He's worse than Jimbo, and that's saying a lot. And I'm saying that so Florida State fans can relate there. And I'm sure he doesn't like this injury report thing, and he's like, that's the way I'm going to circumvent it by playing games there. I watched Wake Forest, and they literally listed half the team on it last week. You can see who's being honest and who's not being honest, especially at this point of the season. It's almost laughable when I see him on the probable part. I give Tommy credit. I think he's gutted it out in some ways, in a lot of ways. I just don't think this type of Tommy plays into Clemson's hands well. And you forget, man, the D coordinator for Clemson came from Penn State. They're used to running attacks there. That's why I'm surprised they've been run on the way they have. I remember your text to me during the Nebraska-Michigan weekend when I was in Nebraska saying you were shocked how physical Clemson wasn't. So I remembered that, and I remember saying I'm going to key in on that even more now. And you were absolutely right. Clemson used to punch you in the mouth on the defensive line. They used to make you want to quit. They haven't done that this year. Maybe with Venables.
They got all those kids are highly recruited, and the Will Help kid that transferred in from Purdue is a pretty good player. They're just not very good, on a consistent basis. They'll make a big play, then they'll get gashed. So, and their pass rush hasn't been as good this year either. They gave up 46 to Duke, okay? And that quarterback's an NFL player. I get it. But good night. They were just shredded. So there's going to be some tough conversations after that.
And I understand, man. Like, I always key in on 2-point conversions because I think they are so hard to convert for whatever reason. And that guy I think I could have run that play and caught the ball. How open it was.
They had too many busts. This is a coaching problem more than a player.
Of course. But it comes from the top, and that they just don't execute. That's why I'm curious. I watched Stanford move the ball on us with a backup quarterback and backup running back. That's why I'm not playing so much into what happened against Wake. College football is week to week. I knew so many people that thought we were going at least 10-2, 11-1 because we beat Alabama. And I said, man, talk to me week 5, week 6. Especially with Mike's teams who tend to fade for whatever reason. I told you before the year I didn't like our strength program. I think Mike is so insane that he gets you so ready for that first game, and then they can't keep up with his craziness. Maybe that bye week did help before Wake. I want to see him with only 1 week to prepare because we haven't won a game like that. In a big game all year, our only wins are Alabama and Wake. And then those games you had more than 1 week to prepare. Now, I'm sure Mike has analysts that are looking at film, looking at all this stuff. I get it. But from a 1 week standpoint, we haven't won a game here this year.
That's right.
Getting ready. So that's why that's maybe a metric or an analytic that I think of. But show me how you can rally your team in 1 week and go on the road at Clemson.
The only thing about the Clemson game that I will say is an advantage for those that don't know, Clemson, while they're still quote unquote explosive at the wide receiver position, they're not where they need to be. Bryant Westco is out. He's got a serious back injury, and he's flat out NFL player. TJ Moore and Antonio Williams are NFL players too, but that's still one less. So that helps. Running the ball, they're just okay. You've got to be the biggest question in this game, and I don't know if there's an answer to it for Florida State. They're going to attack the middle of the field some because they've got a senior quarterback who's been a starter for 3.5 years, and just flat out Florida State's linebackers are below average in pass coverage. if they can at least be mediocre in this game against Clemson in that area, and I don't expect them to be, they'll win. They could win by 10 or more. Because that means you probably get a pick or a deflection or something that leads to a pick. That's the biggest question. I don't think they'll handle Florida State's front very well because the one thing Clemson hasn't done is run the ball in general. They're not going to be able to block Darryl. They're going to have to double him. And Florida State's at least decent with their linebackers against the run. Nicholson played pretty well the other night.
Yeah.
I think they'll be okay. And then it comes back to the one that we'll never know. How healthy is Tommy? I have no way to tell you. Again, won't say the school, but I know there's a quarterback that's playing elsewhere. He's not listed on the injury report, and he's flat out hurt.
I can guess who it is, but I won't say it here. But after we finish, I'll say it. That's another thing. And the guys who have, to me, gotten better week after week are the this year twins.
Oh, yeah. They have been. Mandrell got the sack. I forget. I always get him mixed up.
Mandrell. I think he's if you had me who's more ahead of the two, it would be him.
They're both good players. And
they're both
really freshmen. You certainly cannot discount them. They hustle, they're physical, and they play the run probably as well, if not better than the pass. Good players.
If you told me that, injury aside, that they would be more of an impact this year than Kevin Wynn, I would have said, do you want to bet? And I'm not a gambling man. But that has been the case. I still worry about our linebackers, even with Clemson's subpar running game.
It only takes one missed run gap fit to flip the field.
Yeah. And when's the last time we won a big road game?
Clemson?
I would say Florida with Tate.
For meaning, but that wasn't a good Florida team.
That's true. That's true.
It's just that's a rivalry, and it's just
that's
such a difficult place to play. Such a difficult place to play. The Swamp.
Yeah. That's why I think Duke was happy to catch him at noon that day. That helped us when we were there 2 years ago. I'm curious to see how their crowd is. I'm actually going to be dialed in on that.
I don't know.
Expect it to be loud, but they're angry there. I've never seen their fans like this.
Well, those people, they don't have a pro team in that state or anything. Like, that's all they got.
Right.
So, I mean, I expect them to be loud and proud to begin the game, but it'll turn. Like I said, if it's 10-0, 14-0 Florida State.
Ooh. Yeah. And you have all day to get lubed up, like our fans did against Wake.
If that happens, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. And this is me being a hater, open-endedly. This guy right here. If that happens and Florida State wins, Dabo's going to hear it. He'll go to the microphone and make a fool of himself after the game. Guarantee it.
I was going to say that's a safe bet because he's had a pattern of doing that this year.
He does not take it. He just
no, he took a shot at the AD the other day.
What was that?
He took a shot, but he was saying something. He goes, well, Graham's in the room. I could get fired right here. It was a stupid line. Yeah that's most coaches don't survive that. Obviously, he's got to be careful. He has made it clear he wants to coach regardless, whether it's at Clemson or not after this year. He's not getting close to the contract if he leaves for whatever reason.
Get close to the job either.
That too. You never know.
I don't think so because he wants to do it his way. He doesn't want to use the portal. He's not an adjusting kind of feller. So, if he wants to take, NC State or something, which is probably going to come open, that's possible, but he ain't going to get in an elite tier 1 job.
Yeah, I think he'd want to leave the conference, if anything.
Who's he going to get? Like, Florida's not going to take him.
Penn State's not taking him.
He doesn't fit up there.
No, he doesn't. I could see him in an Oklahoma State. I could see him in a Memphis, believe it or not.
Yeah, but he won't take those jobs.
No, he won't. Who knows where his head's at? He's petty enough that you never know with the guy. He wouldn't leave Clemson to take those jobs.
No.
If he was fired, I mean, he's doing the stuff that we saw with Jimbo, where he was looking for an excuse and wanted to leave. I swear I was watching it today saying they're going through their 2017. I could be wrong. He could finish with a couple good wins. He did that last year. People are forgiving a little more when you've won 2 national titles somewhere. But I think they're seeing that the team is starting to get checked out. we tend to bring the best out of teams in not a good way all the time. That's what I'm curious to see. The team saying the right stuff. I don't know why it took a bye week for them to say, yeah, we came together as a team. You can't rely on Deuce Robinson to have the monster games that he had every week.
He was awesome last week.
He was it was NFL type stuff he was doing.
Yeah, he's an NFL player. I said that for the season. He's 3-0. This will be his 1 year at Florida State. Enjoy.
Yeah. So what's your take on Mike's situation now? Is anything? I know you've done a great job in your show. It hasn't changed. Yeah.
Well, I had a podcast. I did basically a Florida State podcast on the Portal podcast today. I did my live show at noon, and the feature was on Mike. I said they've gotten 3 commitments since Sunday. They got another kid today, and they got Chris Carbon yesterday. They got Dalen Green a couple of days ago, and they got Franklin Whitley today. Okay. Yeah. My question and concern is Florida State turning its money from Mike's buyout to recruiting like they did last year at the University of Florida with Billy Napier. Because Florida State, I could see it. Because all of a sudden they're getting these kids. They might lose the Jay Timmons kid, which would be unfortunate. And they just lost Darius Hughes too. That's just par for the course in recruiting. But like all of a sudden they're getting kids we didn't think they were necessarily going to get. And I don't think they want to enter this job market is the problem. And I understand that, but there is no good answer here. The selection up there that you want, it's not this, that it's expensive. It's still rare. Even if you spend a lot, it's a bad deal all around. So I'm not sure that the boosters want it done, because here's the other question. If they fired Mike, who's making the decision to hire the next individual?
That's the big question.
Because if it's Michael Alford, that's a problem.
I agree. It's a problem. I think there's some type of posturing between him and he's part of the admin, I guess. Well, no, he's AD. He's
vice president just by being AD.
Yeah, I mean the big boosters who have heavy say, he works for them.
Those people aren't going to look. If we're all going in and we're going to invest in a NASCAR team, we all get our money. But if I'm not going to get the car and the driver that I want, why would I invest my money? This is the same thing. This is the same thing. If I can't pay it for it by myself and I got to invest with somebody else, well, it's not a lockdown I'm investing at all, because I'm not going to put my money in somebody that I can't trust, in my opinion. That's what being a booster is at Florida State or anywhere, Ohio State, whatever. They may be like, unless we get a say in who we put the money for, we ain't doing it. And this could be a power play.
It's a power play, and you just came at them for the dope projects and the players only facility.
Oh, yeah. I mean, timing it's terrible.
Could not be worse. I mean, there's never a good time to ask for that much money. But yeah, if I just gave $5 million for this project and then I get this product and then you ask me for money, I mean, a donation for a coach's buyout is throwing money down a drain.
100%.
Yeah, it's great for the fans if they want, because then they can move on, but you're paying for nothing essentially. I mean, I was in a waiting room yesterday, and even ABC Good Morning America, it was on in the waiting room, did a segment on the number right now of how much teams have spent so far in buyouts. The fact that it's making that kind of news, and they said, yeah, we expect there's probably about 2 to 4 more schools looking to enter this situation. I understand it's a horrible time to be searching, but you might have no choice. If he goes 5-7, 6-6, I mean, good Lord. I mean, 6-6, that means you really went 4 and whatever, because 2 were gimme ones.
That's 4.
It's on them in the offseason. I expect we're in purgatory there.
Yeah, I don't know what you do about that, brother.
No, I agree. I'm sure they have a plan in place. I mean, I'm speculating, like, I don't think they're doing this. I don't think they're focused. I think they care. You don't enter the lawsuit like they did against the ACC without people know what they're doing in some ways. But it's really easy for me to say that when A, it's not coming out of my pocket, and B, I don't know what the financial situation is to do it. People are reading too much into Sarah Blakely, who was at the game the other night. I don't know if you saw that. Mm-hmm. Sarah Blakely from Spanx. She's worth a little over $1 billion. She invented Spanx, went to Florida State. she hadn't been that involved with the school, but here and there. But she was at the game the other night. A special guest of the school was on the field for the first quarter in the locker room. Put up a whole post saying how great a time she had. Thank you for inviting me, President McCullough. She was there when they broke the rock. I'll send you the stuff. Of course, a lot of people read into that as, man, they brought her in to hit her up. But that could be for any reason. You're always hitting up your top people, whether they give it or not. And she's, like you said, Magic's worth $1 billion. Look what he could do at Michigan State. Look what she could do for us if she really wanted to. So I'm not reading into that. It came out yesterday that she was there because she had posted stuff about it. She was in a suite with the president. They gave her the royal treatment. So who knows what that means? Maybe that's NIL fund. I don't know. Even though Alfred, let me ask you a question. Alfred, the word is a lot of people are frustrated with him also because he really does believe that every school is going to be honorable in the rev share world. Do you think that's the case with him? Or do you think he understands that schools really
I don't believe anything that he says either direction. He's a lawyer, basically, more than an athletic director. He's a businessman more than he's a. Those people are going to say what fits the job so they stay employed and they have to deal with less drama. But his job is the definition of drama. So, especially with Norvell as the head coach.
That's true. Rowe, include Miami. They need to fire Mario. My, how things have changed there. But at least they've built a roster there. And recruiting is
going nowhere.
It has to work with him there if you're Miami. What you've invested in him.
His friends are the big boosters that hired him.
Oh, yeah.
There's zero chance he's getting
and everybody. That story with Willis McGahee. I don't know if you heard that story. I know I'm getting off topic, but Willis McGahee was banned from all his perks with Miami, as far as being on the sideline, going to the facilities, all
what
that.
What did he do?
Because he does a podcast with Nevin Shapiro. And Nevin doesn't hang around. I'm not defending Nevin, but Nevin doesn't hang around the program anymore. He doesn't go to games like that. He just does a podcast. And they don't like that Willis was a part of it. So I guess he had to meet with the AD. And basically Willis and Nevin said the AD was really just relaying the message from Mario that they don't want him around them, telling him who to be friends with, basically. But Mario's that kind of dictator.
Well, maybe he can be a better dictator with not having 10 penalties and stupidity and dropping passes and throwing interceptions.
That was Nevin's line. He goes, maybe if you were so focused on that, you'd have beat Louisville. Focused on Louisville instead
They'll
of that.
lose at least one more game. They got
to go to Vatech.
You got Pittsburgh on the road too. Last game of the year.
Whose quarterback's getting better week by week?
That quarterback will end up in the NFL. I said it before Florida State played him. I said, this is not your normal freshman.
He's good. I don't know if he's going to, get a big offer to go to another school next year.
He will. 100% he will.
Especially now that, like, Diego Paiva and those guys have basically come out and said what schools offered him to leave. So, yeah, I can see that. But that's something. Yeah, back to Mario. I still rather have their predicament because at least they're recruiting. But were you surprised at that SMU game the other day?
Not completely.
Okay.
I thought there was at least a 30 or 40% chance SMU would win. The
Really?
fact that they won without a running game is appalling. So I think that Ruben and Akeem, the two DNs, have been used enough, they've played enough snaps. They're not quite as effective as they were. They're nowhere near where they were at the beginning of the year against like Notre Dame and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's a problem.
Yeah. Now I'm going to switch gears, go to this coaching carousel a little bit. In a school not far from you, which you mentioned several times, was not going to happen, but most likely going to happen. Or sorry, that same thing was going to happen. Auburn has now entered the coaching search. We talked about how LSU's coaching search affects Florida State and Florida, even Penn State to a degree. I think this is just as big as LSU entering the coaching search as us, possibly. What are you hearing there? What are you thinking? You think Summerall's top target?
Summerall, that's a problem because he's literally the guy that I've been working on to do a podcast on Locked On Seminoles because he's coached in Alabama. He's from Texarkana. He coached and played at Kentucky. He's been in Louisiana multiple times, etc. He's an I-10 corridor to Atlanta guy. Like he would be a natural fit to recruit for FSU. But he's also got more ties to Alabama than he does Florida. It's the SEC. That job's already open. And I know his agent has spoken with Auburn behind closed doors.
Oh, yeah.
It's not good for Florida State. And it's one of the reasons I was concerned when they got beat by Kentucky 10-3. I'm like, tomorrow he's getting fired. And he did. Hugh Freeze was out at Auburn, rightfully so. And they got deep pockets at Auburn collectively. They don't have like one guy like a Phil Knight, but they got several really good like tier 2 boosters that throw together money. Summerall is a guy that would fit there. If they don't take DJ Durkin, I think it would end up being one of those two because they're not going to get Kiffin, not going to get a Marcus Freeman, James Franklin. I doubt it's possible, I guess, but I doubt. I don't know who else they would get. So maybe Alex Golish. That's the other guy that I think for Florida State. The more jobs open, the more likely Florida State ends up with the G6 coach.
I don't think you pay that almost $100 million to get a G6 coach.
Well, that's the problem. Next year, it's still we're to the point now where football is just the end all be all. This thought process that, okay, this is an abnormal year. There's more jobs opening. Okay, there's a lot, but consider the following. By just about every poll, Penn State was top 5 in the country, and some polls had him number 1 or number 2. He went from top 5 to fired in 2 weeks. There is no patience in college football. There will never be a year that is a good year to fire your coach, ever. Now, this year may be the worst specific to FSU because whether Florida State fans want to hear it or not, most coaches would rather have the Florida job than Florida State because it's in the SEC. So it's slightly above. And then LSU is really unique. Depending on if you want to deal with that, that's a really unique place to coach. Some will rank it higher. I would rather have Florida State or Florida than I would LSU. But again, everybody's got their preference.
I'm biased when it comes to that. But I can see the issue.
Yeah, and Auburn is just another one. Penn State's just another one. And it's just like, good Lord. Not just head coach, that really makes it worse for assistant coaches. It drives up prices on them too. It is a conundrum. So unless you 100% have the money lined up now, which pretty sure FSU does not, who are you getting even at the bottom end, let alone the top end of the spectrum once you pay out everybody and get another staff? That's $100 to $120 million. Where's that coming from?
Yeah. In a school that's been proclaimed to be broke many times.
Right.
Didn't say that was the case. I'm just saying that's been the narrative.
What happens when next year, I don't know who it will be, but Michigan will very possibly come open next year. That job is they barely beat Purdue this past weekend. That's not trending in the right direction.
Right.
Venables could get fired next year. Oklahoma that's not friendly.
Yeah.
And there's always something else. You're never going to be in a cycle if there isn't 2 or 3 other jobs similar to you. Florida State's not going to be all of a sudden pocket rich next year.
No, I agree. And think about it from this aspect. I think college football is also becoming like the pros too, where we're going nuts saying, look at this carousel. And I hyped it up too. This could be the norm every year.
That's what I'm saying.
6 or 7 big jobs, like the NFL. Remember after the last regular season game, you'd see 5 or 6 fired. We're just getting it scattered a little bit. And we're also forgetting, the average fan is, we're only thinking Florida, Penn State, LSU. They pluck a good coach from another school, any of them. Kiffin goes to Florida. Ugh, I hate the thought of that. Ole Miss is open. That's a good job.
They got deep pockets, too.
They got deep pockets, SEC, another Auburn-type scenario. That's another good job. At one time, it was never above Florida State. You can make an argument now. Until we get out of this conference. Until we get out of this conference, there's going to be schools that are a better job than us, and people have to grin and bear it. Who's to say? Dabo decides tomorrow, I'm done with Clemson. I've had it. Clemson's a great job.
100%.
Great job. I've been out there. I love it. I'm not just saying because I liked it there. I'm just saying they got deep pockets there. And if they have a forward thinker come in there, you can do a lot of damage there. It's been proven. So that job comes open. That's a better job than Florida State right now. It's a better job than Auburn. It's a better job than Ole Miss. So then you drop even lower on the ladder.
Tennessee could come open next year.
Tennessee, Oklahoma. So people are forgetting that, okay, these schools are looking, but what happens to the schools that they pluck from? Unless they go the coordinator route, some of them, which Auburn may have to do.
Right now, let's say Florida State made the move after they play Florida.
I don't think they would.
It would be Buster Faulkner, Alex Golish, John Summerall, or somebody that is mid-level coach somewhere, because they don't have the money to go after some of these guys. Like Kiffin, you're going to have to pay the $100 million contract.
Yeah.
Florida State's not going to do that right now, so they're not in the Kiffin sweepstakes.
No. It's not even a –
It's not an option.
It's not even a – we're not even on his radar. I don't even think on Summerall's radar. Even Jeff Cameron said he's got some bigger opportunities possibly coming up.
Yeah.
I'd say even Jeff Cameron, like, oh, wow, he said it, but he's plugged in just like you.
Yeah. Well, they're more Florida State. I'm more national, and I'm working my way into Florida State, but those guys have been doing it forever. But Summerall is probably going to end up at Auburn.
Yeah.
Or it's not outside the realm of LSU.
I don't think that's I think the Nick Saban thing right now, and unless it happens, is another case of Jimmy Sexton floating his name out there so he can get a fat new contract from ESPN. Yeah, it's just the reverse effect of what he does with coaches to get them new deals at schools.
100%. But that bottom line is Florida State is not in an advantageous situation.
Yeah.
But they're not going to be in one next year either.
Yeah, who's to say this isn't the norm every year where you got 6 or 7 big-time jobs open?
At least 2 of Tennessee, Oklahoma, Clemson, Michigan, and add a couple more that are like, again, did anybody see Penn State coming open? Really? No. Did anybody see LSU coming open? I thought it would, but I was one of the few. Everybody thought, you're crazy. Yeah, okay. LSU people will not take anything less than 10 wins, and they ain't winning 10 wins this year.
Exactly.
As soon as he got that third loss, he was gone.
Yeah.
That's college football now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm concerned that Florida State is kind of stuck in this boat, and they're going to have to go the route. Like I would right now, if you said, Brian, you can have Buster Faulkner, I would sign up for that in a heartbeat. But that's not a guarantee. He's a coordinator, but he's a really good one.
Yeah, and he brings Winky with him, most likely.
Yeah, I'd imagine Winky would come. I assume they get along. I've been around Winky a few times. He's a pretty chill dude.
I used to have class with him several times.
Oh, did you really?
Back at Florida State. Yeah, I mean, he'd love to come back.
Probably so. And then he would be the coordinator / or passing game, something like that. He's got a ton of money. He doesn't care about that. I asked him a year or so ago, I said, why did you go back to coaching with all the money you got? He said, I didn't sit still very well. He said, I got to be doing something. I'm like, okay, coaching certainly keep you busy. So,
oh, gosh. But I think Winky's the quarterback coach. Buster coaches the tight ends. Or that's his bread and butter. And it's his offense. And Winky knows how to coach it.
Yeah. I would rather Florida State hire Buster, because if Key left and they didn't give the job to Buster, I'm afraid he'll go back to Georgia. I don't want him at Georgia. That's bad. That's very bad.
They're always going to be a powerhouse, I think. Even though they're starting to.
No, they don't have as good a roster.
No, I understand. I just want a coach that I have confidence in. I know we're not going to get the splash hire, even though it's Alfred's specialty, supposedly. But I want someone to know where, God forbid, this doesn't work out, we're not on the hook and having to mortgage the university. I mean, that's where we need to learn from this. We've had this situation twice now in 10 years with Jimbo, now Mike. Enough with this. If it means we go the less flashy route, but it's a Buster Faulkner or a Glenn Schumann, I'm all for it. Those guys excite me more than Golish. I could end up being wrong. I'm all for it.
I like Golish quite a bit, but I mean, it's still. I do, because he's coached at Tennessee and he's been in the state of Florida at 2 different stops. So, but
I mean,
it's just hard to say how he would do as a head coach with recruiting. I have no idea.
I've heard Silverfeld's name mentioned at Auburn. I don't think he's a top 2, maybe even 3 candidate there. But, I mean, that'd be the perfect place for Mike to go back to if it doesn't work out with us. I'm also thinking about the offsetting buyout. Because I heard with Freeze, obviously he's got $18 million. That's better than the 50-something we owe Mike. But he's required it all up front and no mitigation. He could take another job, and it won't affect his buyout one bit.
I don't think he's coaching again. He's going to go into ministry.
Apparently, he spends as much time in the country club around there, I heard, as he did coaching.
His golf scores are pretty popular discussion point in Auburn.
Is it? I was wondering. I heard that today.
Not in a positive way. I can assure you.
No, I understand.
Yeah,
because that came up with Brian Kelly too. But man, Brian, I know you got your mailbag tonight. I think 9:00 Eastern.
Well, I'm going to discuss a few things tonight. I'll do a little mailbag with it, but 9:00 Eastern, Locked On Seminoles coaching. One of the things I'm going to talk about is Norvell getting off the hot seat. That is the prime topic, which probably won't make very many people happy, but I'm going to explain why. Right now, I'm leaning towards I don't think he's going to get fired, although I think he should.
I'm with you there. We said that before the year. Unless it happens, I'm not changing my mind. I've heard one day, they're about to pull the trigger. I've heard one day it's no chance. So I don't know if they has that. But Brian, I can't thank you enough for coming on again, my friend. I'm excited for your mailbag tonight. Check out Brian, not just on Locked On Seminoles, the portal as well. I watched your show today. Really enjoyed it. And I texted you about this, but I want to say it, man. Shout out to your fan base on the mailbag questions.
There's some pretty good ones, to be honest.
There were some great ones. Like, I was like, man, that's a good one. I want to hear his answer. And I could be stubborn sometimes saying, yeah. I know, whatever. I was really impressed by your fans and those fans and what they were asking. It was intelligent questions. You were obviously giving great answers. So check out Brian's stuff. I'm going to have it in the link, and I'm going to retweet it tonight because FSU fans love drama, and we're in that world again.
There you go, man.
Brian, any parting words?
Let's hope for the best. That's all I can really say. I know it's not a lot, but that's all I got.
That's all I got too. This team is so tough to talk about. But take care, everyone. Brian, thank you again, and see you again. Go Noles.